Welcome back to the It's Bigger Than Me podcast. I'm your host, Molly Trotter Gomez. You guys, you are in for such a treat. You know, when you like get connected with somebody who connects you with somebody else, and you're just like, bing, like that is the person you want to be connected to. I remember getting connected with Jason Webb, jumping on a call. We didn't really know much about each other, jumped on a call. Immediately, Jason's like, hey, do you want to be on my like TV show that live streams to like hundreds of thousands of people? And I was like, wait, who are you? And who just offers this up, like just right off the bat? And as I kept digging into Jason's story, it was just like, wow, this man has a well when it comes to wisdom. And there's so many different directions that this can go. But I'm very excited it's going to go in the AI direction to really help people who are faith driven step into the power of what AI can bring. So if you're one of those that's pushing against it, you're going to have to open up that gate and allow this man to come in to teach you a thing or two. But before we dive into the meat of today's topic, Jason, I would love for you to share a little bit about your background, your story, before we cannonball into the AI topic today.
Well, I really appreciate you inviting me to your show. I know you got to be a part of our show. That was incredible. But a little background about myself, Molly, is I grew up in a very blue collar, very kind of I wouldn't say poor, but we definitely did not have a lot growing up. There was a lot of strife, a lot of struggles as we grew up. My dad was a truck driver, my mom was a teacher. But growing up, they always had side hustles. They were always entrepreneurs. My dad was a mechanic on the side, fixing and flipping cars. My mom had a bookkeeping business where she did taxes and things. And so I learned at a very early age in order to be successful that we worked, right? And you always had these side hustles. And so I started as an early entrepreneur, buying and selling candy in grade school until they caught me doing that. And that was a problem, the no, got that going. And then in my teens and stuff, I actually started flipping cars with my dad, building cars, fixing them, flipping them. I still do that actually from time to time. But then into my later life, I was the first person to go to college, graduate college in my entire family. So I got to have that experience, which is really cool. And then I started a business out of school where we were actually putting billboards in the back of semi trailers. That was another cool business. Marrying what my dad and them did with trucking. Had a buddy that was thinking about this and this whole idea. So we presented this whole idea. We built it up. The business, we had it actually patented. Went through about 40 different iterations of this. And one thing, as you know about me now, Molly, is I'm kind of ignorant in the fact that I think that I can get in front of anybody and talk to anybody. It's kind of I don't know. I just think, yeah, sure, I can talk to them. Why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually got in front of the United States Postal Service with this, or we did as a company, and just like it was nothing. I was in my early 20s and doing this. I'm like, yeah, this is nothing. This is easy. So we go out there, present to them. They actually liked the idea. Well, we almost had a contract signed where we were going to put these on all of their vehicles. Well, we had hired a CEO at the time that put out a press release the day before the contract is signed, lost it all. It was very big deal that we lost, but anyways, live and learn, right? So I've had multiple different successes and failures in business, as I'm sure a lot of your audience has, or a lot of your guests has, but that was the first main one. There's some other ones in real estate, and then I got into commercial tires and sales, and then it really brings me to where we're at today in the successes and the failures that I have had with the AI piece. Like you've talked about, we're going to talk into the AI. I utilize AI in everything I do. It's consistently used on a daily basis in my life.
I mean, when I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I for a minute there, I'm like, okay, I'm not a very techie person. I'm sure everybody listening to this being like, me too. But then I was like, how was that phrase? How was that thinking serving me? Right. So I'm like, okay, let's use it a little bit. And now I'm using it a little bit more. And now it's like I use a lot throughout my day, probably not even scratching the surface to what you use or other people who are really on it. However, it does make you so much more efficient and effective because of how smart it is. And so, obviously there's people out there that are still pushing against it. And my question for you is why? But I mean, how do you combat those naysayers that are just not trying to keep up with the times?
Well, one thing I want to say is that we say it's a smart technology, which it's really not. It's just how it's programmed and what it utilizes in terms of its base. But everything I do is faith-based. Molly, as you know, from business to ministry to just life in general. And when we think of AI in the faith-based world, a lot of people actually look at it and they're like, "This is evil." And it's not. It's just a tool, right? It's like the parable of the talents. I don't want to go up to heaven later in life and say, God, well, I really wanted to try to do this. I really want to try this. Why didn't you let me do this? And he's going to say, well, I gave you these tools to be able to do that. Why didn't you use them, right? I don't want to be that way. And AI is just one of those tools to be able to do that. And so how I utilize AI, I use it as an expert advisor. I use it to multitask, to set up different tasks throughout the day for outreach, lead generation, communication. so many things that I use AI for. I couldn't name it in just a 30-minute show, to be honest with you, and how we do this. But just starting to get into this and calm the naysayers and get them involved is basically just step in, try it. There's nothing that you're going to hurt. There's nothing that you're going to damage by doing this, and just giving it a shot.
I love how you like leaned in when you said step in. Like
Yeah,
that was an invitation, everybody. That was a huge invitation because at the end of the day, the only reason people are against it is because it's something that's unfamiliar. And
100%.
technology is rapidly changing and moving so fast that I remember when AI was like released into where it's been just even over the last couple of years, it is mind blowing. But like you said, it's a perspective. Who are you listening to? If you're going to listen to people saying that it's evil, then you're going to be stuck in that camp, but then you're going to be missing out on all this leverage. So let's talk about, obviously, you have a great successful rap sheet, a scroll, if you will, of all the things that you've been able to do. Let's talk about and really lean in like with how this has been able to make you even be more effective and efficient. I mean, you kind of just already labeled a few things like lead generation, setting up tasks, all the things. And I know business owners, hopefully you caught on to those pieces of like, wait a second, like I could be doing this over here that I actually want to do, while the AI is over here doing things that I have to do because this is a business after all.
Completely. I love how you put that in there. Me, I was diagnosed with ADHD a few years ago, and I'll be honest with you, most entrepreneurs, we have this, right? Where we see the shiny object thing and we want to go try this out and test this out. Well, AI basically lets us use ADHD as a superpower because we can actually bounce back and forth between tasks quickly, efficiently, and actually get things accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And so many different tools that I use that for. Writing emails, right? We can put in who the customer is, who the client is, what we're trying to accomplish, and say, hey, I need you to act as an email copywriter and build this email out. Great. It writes it out very quickly. You can do, okay, now change the tone of this, build this out this way, put a reply in there. Especially as entrepreneurs, there's a lot of emails that we don't want to write, right? Say a customer or client comes in and says, hey, I need to do this, or that you don't want to hit this reply. If I have like an employee that I've had to write a response to and say, look, you're really not reaching par on this or what we need to have accomplished on this. I can use AI because I can't necessarily think of the words to type this out and say, AI, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I want it to do. I want it to be nice and kind and still be uplifting. Write this out for me, and it'll write it out, and you're like, wow, that was pretty impressive. So giving it tasks to do on a simple basis as that, to those lead generation tactics, doing research on companies or businesses or individuals. Deep research is a big thing now where I can jump in there and say, look, here's this business that I'm really trying to reach. Deep research this, and it'll give me all the background history on that business, things that I need to know, who I need to talk to. It's basically all of these tools, all of these assistants, all of these research things right at the tip of your fingers that can happen in instantaneous fashion.
So I have a question for you. So
Sure.
obviously with the success that you've had, saving time is money. We've all heard of that.
Completely. Mhm.
If you could even put like how many hours is AI saved for you by writing out these emails, doing all these things? I mean, just give us a number, something, because time is money, and let's
Oh,
just throw out a number there.
thousands of hours. And the reason being is, okay, early in my life, like you said, time is money, right? I realized that time is the most valuable resource we have. It's much more valuable than money and than anything else because we only have so much time. We don't know, when we're going to be done with time, and we never get that time back. And
Mm-hmm.
so how do we utilize the time best to the best of our abilities? Well, AI now allows us to basically expand or 10x our time based off of those tasks. Something that would took us, a week to do on research, now we can do in 30 seconds. It's ridiculous about how much time AI has saved me particularly, and how much money it's really saved me, to be honest with you, because there's certain tasks that I would have to hire out before, say a copywriter role or say a website designer role or whatever there are. There's so many different tools out there to do this, marketing companies, that now I can use AI and do it in seconds and for a fraction of the cost.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, save time, money, all the things, and then just even creativity bandwidth. And it's not like
Completely.
I don't
Mhm.
look at some people have like had the argument of AI's made you lazy because it's going to
Mhm.
do it for you. And sure, you can totally look at it from that. Just copy, paste, spit it out. Thank you very much. I'll come back again. I like to look at it as like, there's even some creative pieces of like, wow, I love the way you worded that. And then I get kind of
Mhm.
fixated, and this is my brain. I get fixated on a word and I take this deep dive and like, how can
Yep.
I like expand that? Because that's where my creativity likes to go rather than like pumping out this email or whatever that's like, this is like watching paint dry for me, but I know I have to do it. And
Me
so
too.
it's,
Yes.
you can find those things where it's like, wow, like look at how it just took all this information like all over the internet, and it was able to plop it in within seconds. Because time is definitely my love language. I love quality time. I love getting back time. I love
Yes.
spending time with people I want to spend it with. And especially in a world where everything is buying for your time, it's like, hey, I need you, I need you, I need you. It's like, let's make it faster and simpler. And so, anybody literally that's listening, if you haven't been sold yet, we're not selling you on anything, actually. We're just like,
No.
go try it, go do something with it, go take that leap to be able to go learn. And so, yeah, anything else you want to say, like when it comes to this, like just the mic is yours, because I'm sure you have a
Yeah.
wealth of information that
I,
I don't even know questions to ask yet.
you know me, I can talk for hours on this stuff. Well, on a lot of things in general, but on this one's particularly, one thing I would love to like just challenge the audience on
Mm.
is not necessarily using AI to actually handle tasks, but using AI to actually teach you tasks. So one thing that I do and one thing that I teach, say, clients and stuff that I have in the consulting space is I teach them how to use AI where AI will teach them and their style. So basically, you use AI to interview you. So I'll put in there and say, hey, act as an interviewer, act as a psychologist, act as an expert educator, interview me on my learning style. So that way, going forward, you know how to teach me when I ask you certain questions, or you can ask me the questions that I need to know to understand
Mm.
this better. And so certain things that I'll need, if there's software pieces or if there's anything with business or really anything in general, even the faith-based aspect of this, when I'm trying to learn a scripture or really trying to dive in deep on this, it now knows my learning style, how I learn, what the words need to be spoke to me on, so I pick it up better. And I ask it, okay, now teach me this in the way that you know how to teach me. And it'll actually teach me in the way that I learn, because all of us learn differently. And it's really, really cool and interactive when you use it like that. It's a super powerful tool. So it's not necessarily even doing tasks or saving you time with that, but it is saving you time on learning. You're not
Mm.
struggling to pick up tasks to do these things because it knows how you learn. It's really cool.
That's really cool. And you hear this a lot with AI. You have to train it. 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 Any advice you have on training it?
Of
Because
course.
people are like, what does training mean? Some people mean like, are we going to the gym? Like, what are we doing? My body training? Like, what kind of training, right? Like, what is training AI? And maybe even some effective tips to like be able to train
Of
it
course.
well, because some people don't even really know what their voice is yet, and they'll just take whatever sounds good. So
Mhm.
I'm curious if you have any training tips.
Of course, they have training tips. The biggest thing with training on the AI is we talk about these training things, but it's just actually having communication with it. So having dialogue back and forth with it. If you don't know something, ask it. Say, hey, I don't necessarily know how to get my voice. What would you recommend doing this? And it'll talk to you back and forth. Have that dialogue. Don't just tell it tasks to do. Like we talk about a perfect prompt framework, and one of my close friends, Jonathan Mass, he's on the show with our network. He has the perfect prompt framework because when people think about AI and they think about prompts, there's a lot of people out there selling prompts and how you prompt it, how you tell it to do this. You don't need any of that stuff, to be honest with you. You just need four things, right? You need to tell it who to act as, number one. So act as an educator, act as an entrepreneur, act as a marketer, act as a copywriter, act as a legal analyst, whatever task you want to tell it how to act. Give it some context to what you're trying to do. Hey, this is my audience. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Like that whole thing, or teach me how to do this. I want you to know how to teach me how to do this stuff. Okay, give it that. And then give it background on what you want it to do, the topic, whatever that is. And then the most important thing on the perfect prompt framework is number four. And that is ask me questions that I might not know to clarify this. So give it that prompt to be able to do that, and give it that I guess that I don't know, that opening to be for it to ask you, because you might not know the questions. 90% of the time we don't know those questions to ask. So you give it that, and it will actually conversate back with you. Okay, well, what do we need this for? What do you need this? Like, where are you looking to go with this? And when you do that, it'll actually build it all out. And one more thing with this is, if you are having questions or issues about the prompt, say, act as a prompt engineer. Say, I'm trying to do this, build me out this prompt, and it'll do that for you. But again, ask that secondary question of saying, what questions would you like to know to build this out better? So does
Gosh,
that
I
help?
mean, yes, I was just thinking you just saved us more time and money, my friend. I mean,
Exactly.
like all of that right there. Somebody else probably packaged it for like 11.99 or whatever, like
Mhm.
or maybe not that, like $2,000. Like they're gonna package these things of like, I got the sauce. You literally just got it here. Like that was amazing. Now, I want to switch gears just slightly because we've talked a lot about AI and that you're faith driven. Like, let's talk about the ministry side of things a little bit, because one of the things that I see obviously when I first got to know you, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this man has had so much success, and you weave in your faith in everything that you do. And even the show that you have, it's just so faith driven. How can I give other people a platform? You're very generous with your time. I forgot the word that you use, but you're like, I just kind of have the the ignorance, if you will, that I can get in front of anybody and talk to anybody. Same. It's like we are all people. Just
Yes.
go talk to the person. They can say no. It's totally
Mhm.
fine. But I love how you weave faith into all of it, because so many times we just have fear that holds us back. I can't talk to that person, or I can't do this, or I can't reach the success. And so I would love for you to just break some barriers today, because obviously you've broken quite a few.
Mhm. Yes.
And there's no secret that you have God in the mix of all of it, which I love highlighting that on this show.
Yeah, it's cool. See, I even have my Trust Jesus shirt on here.
Yes.
No, everything I do is from faith. And one thing I learned at an early age before I had faith, and it definitely helped me once I even had faith, is as I started building these businesses up and just in life in general, I had to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm.
You know, I found that I grew more and I accomplished more when I stepped out in faith or in just not knowing what was going to happen and saying, you know, I'm going to figure this out as I go. And where I came to that realization is when I started doing research on a lot of very successful people. They weren't successful right away. Of course, nobody is.
Right.
So when you look at, say, an Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or any of these guys, when they first got into those roles, they had no idea what they were doing. They just did what the best thing that they thought we were going to do, and then they kind of made it happen as they went. And why can't any of us do that as well, right? Why can't we just step in and just do what we think we need to know best in terms of that first step forward, the next step, and then pretty soon you look back and you're like, wow, I actually did that right. But where it really came into being powerful was when I brought in Jesus and God into that in that walk, and I use him as basically my CEO, or I run everything by him. When I'm going through and I'm stepping into faith and I'm getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, I'm asking God every single step of the way, hey, God, am I taking the right step forward? Am I moving in the right direction? And you start to feel this inner like twing or so when it's right, wrong, and you can pick up that guidance from the Holy Spirit and saying, okay, this is the right path forward, right?
Mhm.
But just stepping out in faith, don't be afraid. We have God on our side. Like with him on our side, why are we afraid of anything?
Right.
Hope
It's
that
so
helps.
true. It's not, you just have to let go of your timing, let go of
Mhm.
control. You can't control any of that, or a lot of things actually.
Mhm.
Just speaking from being a former control control freak, even at times I'm just like, yep, gotta let that one go too. But it's such a beautiful thing because there's peace that comes on it. And yes, there are seasons in there. I'm sure you could probably, this could be a whole nother like series of podcasts of talking about how you started a business. And
Mhm.
it probably, maybe there was a couple years through the mud before it took off, or a decade
All the
before it
time.
took off,
Mhm.
or one took off and some didn't. They completely failed and bombed. And
Mhm.
we think it has to be this social media highlight reel for every single thing. And, even whether it's public or not, it's like there's always a story in it, and there's always a faith builder aspect to it if you choose to look at it that way. But you have to let God just to come in and refine you. And obviously, I always love to say, like, you bring God in, watch the master's multiplication at work, because we all love multiplication, especially when it comes to the bank account and all the things that we're working on. Like, that's amazing, but nothing beats what God can do, because it's what's big to us is tiny to him. But even
Exactly.
beyond that, it's being able to impact souls for the kingdom, and being
100%.
able to be a beacon of excellence, if you will, so people can see, huh, like, here are believers, they're not broke, they're doing things, they're moving, they're shaking, they're not letting money like just taint who they are as a person. It doesn't bother them, it doesn't sway them. And so I just have to say, from sitting on this side, being very newly introduced to you, I love the way that you operate. I love the way that you're just open network. Yeah, I'm so down. We were just joking before we went live, like, we have literally been slingshotting referrals
I
back
know,
and
right?
forth of like, you need to connect to this person, you need to do this, because when you just find that groove, and you build a network like that, like, it's just fun because it's multiplying the kingdom.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you for that. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you would love to share, as well as how people can be connected with you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me through Facebook, LinkedIn, multiple different ways. Any way that you can find me. My websites, I have my lead generation company, which is MyLeadCo. We have Magnify Squared. We have Abundant TV, which we talked about the network on there. Reach out to me, search or Google me, like any of that stuff, find me and reach out. Don't be afraid. But with the AI, just take the leap of faith. We have God on our side, making sure that we're doing this from an ethical perspective. Don't be afraid of things. We have him.
Period. Enough said.
That's all we need to say. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, Molly. Thank you so much for having me, and God bless.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. It means the world to me that you would lean in, listen in, and be able to hear the value that's being shared on this show. Don't forget, if you love this episode, rate the show, leave me a review, be sure to share it with a friend, and don't forget to tag me on social media. I will definitely be giving you a shout out. Also, come say hi, drop in the DMs. I would love to be able to hear what stood out to you the most on the episode, and if there's any topics that you would like to hear on the show. We'll see you next time.